On January 31st, 2016, at about 3 a.m., three men were shot outside a restaurant in Toronto named New Hope King. 31-year-old Stuart Douglas, 29-year-old Quinn Miller, and 26-year-old David Eminis. Stuart was rushed to hospital and ended up surviving. Quinn and David were not that lucky. They ended up succumbing to their injuries and dying. No one understood why this would happen, as at the time, Toronto was not known as a gun violence city. Many people had questions on why this happened. Why it happened at a restaurant that seems just to be an average Chinese restaurant. Were these men gang affiliated? Were they selling drugs? Were they buying drugs? There was a lot of questions going around. This was New Hope King's first time being in the media for something like this, but it definitely wasn't its last. As of recently, New Hope King has been in the media frequently as it was name dropped in Kendrick's diss to Drake called Euphoria. A lot of fans have came to the conclusion that Kendrick name dropped this restaurant because Drake was robbed at this restaurant. This information is simply not true. There is a connection with Drake and New Hope King, but it's a lot deeper than that. In this video, I'm going to break down New Hope King's dark history and why Kendrick referenced it on his diss track. Back to the original story. The three men that were gunned down outside the restaurant ended up not being gang affiliated at all. This was simply just a case of being at the wrong place at the wrong time. However, the men that they asked about the party were gang affiliated. They were in a gang called Heart of a King, or HOK for short. At the time, these HOK members felt untouchable, as they were in a lot of the drug activity, and also they were involved in human trafficking. Whatever ended up happening with the interaction, the HOK members felt as if they should shoot these innocent men. Bystanders stated that as the HOK members were shooting, they were laughing hysterically. The HOK members were later caught and prosecuted. This left a dark light on New Hope King, as it happened right in front of the restaurant. Just a few months later, in April of the same year, New Hope King got some more light shed on it. This happened when rapper Sizzlack made a video called Realist in the Six. It happened to be a diss track, and the diss track was directed towards 3L, a gang around Jane and Finch in an area called Driftwood. Members of this gang include Pressa, Bundog, and YG. You can see Sizzlack multiple times in the video putting his fingers upside down, which represents a diss to the gang. He even goes as far as getting one of the store owners to put his fingers down. He's also smoking a cigarette, which refers to smoking on a pack. This refers to when a gang member's dead, and they burn his ashes and put it in a blunt and they smoke it. This is seen as one of the most disrespectful things you can do to another rapper or rival. Anyway, as Sizzlack is going in and out of the New Hope King restaurant, in the alleyway in the back, and also in the store, a lot of people are speculating that this is a diss to the HOK gang. Anyways, 3 days later, Sizzlack was gunned down outside a party. He was drunk and high, and probably not in the best state of mind. Outside the party is where he was shot. He ended up dying on the scene, and that was it for Sizzlack. You may be wondering how this all ties into Drake, and I'm going to explain that now. On May 31st, 2009, way before any of this happened, Drake was robbed at gunpoint. No, this did not happen at New Hope King. This happened in a small neighborhood in Toronto known as Little Italy. Little Italy is an area where a lot of Italians immigrated to back in the day. They started opening shops and opening restaurants. And now it's an area where a lot of Italians go and hang out. Drake was having dinner with a special lady named Chantel Brown. After they left the restaurant and got into their car, they were approached by two men with guns. The men started demanding Drake's jewelry and other possessions, including cash. A bystander noticed this robbery and yelled at the gunmen. He said a lot of things I'm not going to say right now, but he did a good job at getting these gunmen away. Both men got in their getaway car and sped off. They didn't get far as police were already on them and eventually brought them to a full stop. Two men got out of the car and fled. However, there was a third man in the car that started driving again and took off. After a foot chase with one of the men, he was caught. The driver was also eventually caught. However, the third man was never caught. The two men that were caught were arrested and brought in for prosecution. Drake eventually decided not to press charges against him as he was early on in his rap career and he felt like it would have been a bad look for him to have affiliation with police. The two men ended up spending about 6 months in jail. However, they were both released as no further charges were pressed against them. As for the third suspect, though, he was never caught. However, there's a lot of speculation that it was Sizzlek. If this information is true, it means that Drake was robbed by Sizzlek, which is why Kendrick taunted Drake when he name-dropped him New Hope King in the song. To conclude, is New Hope King a bad place? Is New Hope King gang affiliated? Absolutely not. New Hope King is a very beautiful establishment. As a Toronto resident myself, I've ate there a handful of times, and they have amazing food. It's owned by a family, and it's overall an amazing place in an amazing area of Toronto. New Hope King just ended up getting in the middle of all these gang politics. Thanks for watching my video. Please like and subscribe, as it really helps because I'm poor. Thank you. Have a nice day.